welcome to the Summerland Show, episode number 5. I'm your host, Garrett Dawn, the Radical Undoing guy. I help turn your burnout, anxiety, stress, and depression into fuel for accessing your latent potential and just overall having a much better life where you're not creating fake suffering for yourself and the people around you. And I do that through radical undoing, breath and body work, cognitive experiments, adventures in the world, and some other stuff that you'll have to jump onto the premium trainings to find out for yourself. So we're going to have a whole bunch of those launching very soon, not the least of which will be the Summerland Challenge coming up on Monday, April 21st at 8 p.m. Central European Time, which is 2 p.m. Eastern U.S. time. That's going to be in the Facebook group. If you go to facebook.com/groups/end fake suffering, not end, but end fake suffering. I'll type that into the chat. Let's go ahead and type that into the chat. https://facebook.com/groups/end fake suffering. And the group is kind of a mess right now. Let's show this on stream. There's the link. Got a cat. I had a cat in my lap. I always think, it'll be a nice idea to have them in here, but then every time I throw them outside and lock the doors. So be good, kitties. Okay, so yeah, that's where you can find it. That's in the chat there. You can click on that, but you'll have to click to join the group, and then I'll click and approve you. And I keep it private so that people can speak freely. And I gratuitously use the ban function to ban people if they turn out to be assholes or if I just don't want them in the group. So you're in a safe, protected, private group there. I mean, as safe and protected as anything online could get. So that's the business stuff to get out of the way. So welcome to the Summerland Show, episode number 5. And today's episode, I was going to call Remembering Relaxation because that's the name of a particular week and a few specific days in the Summerland Inaugural Intensive, which is a 28-day program that I just launched this year. It's unbelievable in its efficacy in helping you convert all your burnout, anxiety, stress, and depression into something useful and actually even fun and enjoyable. But today, we're just going to keep it really focused on relaxation. So I changed the title from Remembering Relaxation because no one will know what the hell I mean by that. I changed it to You Have No Effing Idea, or You Have No Fucking Idea What Relaxation Is. That's the title of today's show, Summerland episode 5. You have no fucking idea what relaxation actually is. So to illustrate the point, I want to start with a little bit of a story. This was a guy I ended up not working with when it came time to jump on the intensives. This was now back in 2019. He was very excited about doing the intensives. Maybe I didn't do my job correctly on the phone call, or maybe he freaked out and ran. I'm very curious what happened to him after this. But this was a guy who had tried everything to overcome his sense of stress and burnout, and particularly in relation to his family. He was a high-level business owner from England, actually, and we were talking back and forth, and he said the main complaint for him was that he felt like he was on the verge of losing his wife and family because they had been on a recent vacation, and he just could not stop checking his phone. And even when he put his phone away, he couldn't actually just relax and enjoy the vacation. And we're talking about people that are spending close to $10,000 on their vacation. And his wife was starting to freak out. Like, dude, we're on vacation. And it's not like anything he had to check on was urgent. He told me, I said, well, what was the deal? Is there something going wrong with the business? No, everything's fine, but I just can't stop checking on it. And he said, when he puts his phone away, he's even more full of anxieties and even more intense. And he's just like trembling and trying to have a good time. But his wife and kids all noticed, like eventually the kids just stop trying to talk to him and run away because they can feel he's not paying attention. And then that doubles the wife's upset and anger that she wants to be there with her husband and sharing the time with the kids, and he just can't sit still. He can't stop checking the phone. He can't, and like I said, when he puts the phone away, he is just doubly intense because he feels like he has less control. So in the end, he ended up not jumping on the intensives, and I was very sad that he didn't, because I could have helped him in 28 days or less overcome those things for good, be able to relax, not only on vacation. Now, here's the key. I could help him relax in his day-to-day life, even if or when the business is going crazy. And that sense of relaxation would have led over time to a sense of calm confidence, and he would have been able to think more clearly and reduce the constriction of the blood vessels running to his brain, so that he would see all the options available to him. And most importantly, and this is dovetailing off of yesterday's stream about, or the other days, I can't remember if it's yesterday, the day before, about fake problems and fake suffering, he would have been able to stop creating the fake problems. Yeah, it was Summerland 3. He would have been able to stop creating the fake problems and fake suffering. So he would have actually, if he would have done the Radical Undoing intensives, he would have not only been able to relax on vacation, he would have been able to take more vacations, because he would see what decisions are actually important to make in his business, what he could delegate to other people, and what he actually doesn't need to think about or handle at all. And that's the key. If you watched episode 3 about, see, this is what happens. No, you get to go outside now, kitty. All right. So they don't learn like dogs do, but whenever they start getting up in my grill here, then they have to go outside. So anyway, not only would he have been able to take longer vacations and all this, he would have stopped creating fake problems and fake suffering in his mind. So his business would have been much easier and much simpler to handle, even when things get stressful. Okay. So that's the key here, is that we want to be able to remember relaxation in every moment of our lives, even in crisis. Yes, a lot of people think, no, I need to freak out. But look, if you're freaking out all the time, if you're tense all the time, if you're breathing only into your chest or only into your belly, and everything's locked up in your ribs and your diaphragm and your belly, you have no extra space to handle crisis. You have no extra space to handle intensity. So what's borderline miraculous about this work, about the Radical Undoing work, about the Summerland training, and about all this stuff that I teach and offer here on the channel and at radicalundoing.com and everywhere else that I have an online presence, is that you need to reduce the chronic tension load on the body first, get the breathing back working properly to natural breathing. Most people are not natural breathing. They're panic breathing all the time, and they don't even know it. So then when crisis or catastrophe strikes, which it will, when intensity strikes, which it will, they have no extra breathing room. They have no extra space to actually deal with it. So what's implied in what I just said, and for those of you careful viewers and listeners, you'll know, it's that you need to have extra space to breathe. You need to reduce the tension load so that you can actually handle the intensity of life. Now, let me explain something about anxiety and depression that's kind of fascinating. And that is that there's a loop, there's a chronic loop that people go through, and this is what eventually leads to burnout. There's a chronic loop of anxiety and depression. I hate these words. The words are ridiculous. They're totally ridiculous. We can do better if we describe what we are experiencing without deferring to psychological and psychiatric terminology. So with most of my clients, if they say, well, I have anxiety, I don't allow them. I say, no, tell me what's going on for you, but you can't use the word anxiety. Then each person has a different description. One person says, well, I get all tight in my throat and feel like I'm going to cry. Another person says, oh, I feel like I'm going to vomit. I'm all tense in my belly. Now, see, from those descriptions, I get actual data that I can use to help them undo tensions that are leading to what they call anxiety. Now, what anxiety is really referring to is an experience of some form of intensity in the body that you don't want to experience, or that you don't allow yourself to experience, or that you feel like is going to kill you, or that you just resist. Okay. So, what radical undoing does not reduce the amount of intensity in your life, because there's no one that can actually do that. Uh, and I'll explain how depression plays out with this. But what radical undoing does, what this body work and breath work and the Summerland training does, is raises your anxiety tolerance. And not only that, but it raises your frustration tolerance. So why would that be important? Why would it be important to raise your anxiety tolerance and raise your frustration tolerance? Well, because in order to learn any new skill, and I'll give you an example here. I belong to two different choirs here, and I live in Croatia, and I belong to two different Serbian choirs. We sing songs in church, a language that combines a bunch of roots and words from all the different Slavic languages, and then is used for liturgical purposes, mainly in the Orthodox Church liturgies. So we're singing in Serbian, we're singing in Church Slavonic, we're singing in Russian, and sometimes even singing in Greek. And while I can pronounce all the syllables mostly, I have to read the Cyrillic lettering, and which changes from language to language. Uh, and then at the same time, try and tune in and listen to what the other singers are singing and sing my part, which harmonizes with theirs. So any one of those things can be somewhat difficult. But in this situation, sometimes I'm completely overwhelmed. And all I can do is just listen to what's going on. And I can read music, thank God. But I can follow along with what's being sung. And then I will make note, and I'll sit and write out while I listen. I'll write out the phonetic pronunciation of each of the syllables. So I don't necessarily have to know the word. And then later I learn the words and what they mean. But in that situation, if I had been doing that when I was 16, 17, 20, I would just have quit the choir class. I would have quit right away, because it was like 5 different variables that I can't control, and that each one of them I struggle with. But now I just sit there and I know how to follow instruction. Another thing is that no one in the class speaks English, not even the teacher, but I know enough Croatian and Serbian to be able to follow along, but I don't always know what they're saying. So we're using hand signals, gestures, sound of voice, body language, and all of this. But over time, I'm able to pick it up, and I'm able to sing quite well and to harmonize with the rest of the group. And I attribute that to many, many years of raising my frustration and anxiety tolerance. Now, that doesn't mean I don't feel those things. I feel the intensity in my body, and I feel the frustration of like, man, what do I even focus on here? But I sit there, and I also trust my ears. I trust my senses and the data coming into them and the sounds enough that I will be able to gather the information I need and be able to sing. Okay, so that's another example. Now let's get back to what I started to talk about with the anxiety and depression loop. So again, let's, for the sake of this conversation, call anxiety some form of intense body experience that you don't want to go through, or that you feel threatened by. Okay, let's use that for our working definition of anxiety for now. And if a person experiences that for a prolonged period, so much intensity, they start to tense their body against it. And this is all out of awareness, okay? They start to tense the body to defend against the intensity of life. And what happens when you tense your body, especially over time, is it starts to numb out the feelings, and I don't mean emotions, I mean the actual physical sensations. So when you tense the body against the physical sensations of intensity, which is just being fully alive, okay? When you tense against that, over time, it creates chronic tension, which a massage teacher once labeled as living rigor, as in rigor mortis. Like the body stiffens when it dies. When the body is dead, as it starts to decompose, the muscles will become rigid for a time. That's rigor mortis. So he identified something in living muscle tissue he called living rigor. And then he would dig into those hardened muscles to loosen them up and bring life and blood flow and everything back into them. So the anxiety depression loop goes like this. You're experiencing some kind of prolonged intensity, intense physical sensations in the body that you find undesirable, that you don't like, or that you feel threatened by. Then the body tenses to protect you against feeling that intensity, to protect you against experiencing those physical sensations. And as you numb yourself out from those, then it leads to what the idiot psychologists have called depression, which means that you've numbed out and you've tensed up against the intensity of life, against the physical sensations for so long that you stop feeling fully alive. That's what depression is. Just look at a depressed person. They're down. They move slow. Their voice, there's no affect, emotional affect in their voice or in their face. Oh, I'm not doing so good. Oh. Okay. Now, what gets I hate the terms, but what gets a depressed person out of depression is moving, starting to move again, starting to come back to life, doing things like the simple twist of face, the face stretches, the shoulders, the radical undoing breathing, all of this stuff, taking a bike ride, working out, whatever, going to a dance class, going to choir, anything gets you out of that. Okay. And then as soon as a person gets out of the depression, of course, now the body's moving, the blood's flowing, they start to feel again. When they start to feel again, sooner or later, they're going to feel intensity of feeling fully alive, the intense physical sensations of aliveness. And then they call that anxiety. And then either they go get drugs and numb themselves out against it, or they tense up again automatically against it. And then it goes back to what's called depression. So that is the anxiety and depression loop. Now, nothing can break you out of that. Not talk therapy, not pills. The pills are going to make it worse. Nothing can break you out of that anxiety depression loop except breaking into the pain cycle and then learning how to handle more and more and more, increasingly more intensity while relaxing into the intensity. So again, this is what is meant by raising your frustration tolerance, raising your anxiety tolerance. You need to be able to tolerate more and more and more intensity and more and more and more so-called anxiety, which again, we defined as intense physical sensations that you don't want to experience. Okay. Intense, unpleasant physical sensations. Let's call it that. So you got to break the loop or you're going to stay locked into this anxiety, depression, anxiety, depression, anxiety, depression, anxiety, depression. What that loop leads to over time is severe chronic tension in the body, inflammation, all this kind of garbage, severely restricted breathing. So now you have less and less blood flow to the brain, less and less awareness of what your options are. And then that leads to burnout over time. Then that leads to what's called burnout. Okay. So let's take a pause before I get into helping you learn how to actually relax, even when shit is going crazy in your life. That's when it's the most important. But you're going to have to train yourself into how to relax before the madness happens, so that when intensity does inevitably arrive in life, which it always will, which it always does, that you'll be prepared for it. That's what this work is all about. So let's take a moment and before I get into the second part of the show, which is about relearning how to actually relax and give you some tools. And we'll, as always, we're going to do a couple exercises here so you can experience what I'm talking about. And one thing I want to say before we go to the pause is, as I was starting to say, there's no way you can solve these problems in your mind. And this is what's so funny, as I talked about on an earlier episode of the Summerland show, there is no such thing as mental illness. There's either brain damage or cellular damage in the brain or in the nervous system, or there is a struggle with life, a struggle with emotions, a struggle with tension. So anxiety and depression are not mental issues. They are body issues that are showing symptoms in the way that the mind is functioning. Okay. You need to keep that straight. Otherwise, you can be deceived. You can be thrown into a ridiculous mental institution. You can be drugged against your will. People will be better off in jail than in mental hospitals in most cases, because at least in jail, there's an end date where you can get out. But historically, in mental hospitals and forced institutions, you're there until they say that you're sane. And the people running it are far from sane. And they have no idea often how to deal with these issues where they arise, which is in the body. Okay. It's my private war against, or not so private, war on psychology and psychiatry. Psychology confuses people endlessly with their definitions and their terminology and the endless talking for 50 years and no progress. And psychiatry is a criminal organization that inserted itself into the medical industry with a lot of money and a lot of pressure. And it's always connected to the state. And it's been used by the state in Russia and US and around the world to condemn people who express opinions that are different from what the state holds and what is allowable. So just look it up for yourself if you want to find out. And I'll repeat, this chemical imbalance thing that people keep repeating, it doesn't exist. The ridiculous studies that said that there's a chemical imbalance in depression and anxiety and all this stuff, they were refuted decades ago. And there have been subsequent studies that show that there is no proof of a chemical imbalance in terms of so-called mental illness. And remember, mental illness is a category error. All of psychiatry is built on a logical fallacy, category error. So that's my opinion. So again, now we're going to go to a break, and I just want to check in. We'll look into the chat here. And welcome, Sean. Sean's our top fan of the Summerland show. Great to have you here, dude. And I want to see if you guys have any questions or comments on anything I've said up to now, or if you want to share your own experiences, and we can address those. So I'll chill out for a moment and wait for some questions in the chat. I know these things are crazy because all the people I work with, they've been seeking. There's two types of people I work with. Generally, those who are seekers, if they're like me. So I got involved with the occult and the Freemasons and yoga and endless amounts of seeking, like stuff you never even heard of. It would blow your mind, the practices and the books and the stuff I put myself through when I was seeking, when I was a seeker. And then the other people are looking for relief. And they've been searching through self-development, self-help, personal development, on and on and on and on and on, psychedelics, the occult, meditation, Eastern stuff, Eastern, I won't call it wisdom, but Eastern religions and all this different kind of stuff. But nothing ever worked for them. Nothing ever quite worked and delivered on what it promised. And so for those two groups of people, I have real solutions. And I have endless amounts of client testimonials that to show you as proof. And we'll probably bring some of those people on some of the future episodes of the Summerland show. So Sean says, let's see what Sean says. He said, first off, I also went through that ceaseless seeking for all the damn good it did me. Yeah, man, same here. And I'll say I'm grateful I did. I had some crazy adventures because of that. And so I can't completely reject. Let's just put it this way. The yearning for the truth, the seeking for the truth of the situation is built into us. It's a true thing. It's a beautiful thing. But it gets distorted and perverted and inverted into all these different directions that are false, or even worse, damaging to ourselves. And I cover that in more detail on the Summerland Challenge, which is, again, starting on Monday. Let's see what Sean has to say. He says, I can definitely share my experiences. Years of anxiety and depression have always manifested in my body, always. And I was so fixated on the mental part of it. This is revolutionary. It's great that you say that, dude. Yeah, this is what's so crazy about this. It's like when we're trapped inside the hellish snow globe, as I like to call it, when we're trapped inside the hell of the imagination, what's crazy is then when you read books and you do all the seeking, all of that stuff is inside the imagination, but it never gets to the root of what's actually going on. It never gets down into the body. And so I remember when I had my very first radical undoing session, the body movement and the breathing, dude, I was like, first I was filled with so much electricity, I thought I was dying. And then I realized it was pleasant. I was like, okay, I'm not dying. What's going on here? And I remember, wow, it was amazing. I would look at my fingers and I was like, oh, dude, you can move these with your mind. And I looked down at my toes and I was like, could feel my whole body. So I looked down, and when I looked down, my attention went through my face, through my neck, shoulders, chest, belly, legs, down to my toes. And then I wiggled my toes and I was like, oh my God, this is what I'm living in. This is what I've been living in. Like, so the way I describe it is that I went from having just an idea of a body to actually having a body, getting my body back. And that's what is meant by come back home to the body. That's what all the stuff here on the Radical Undoing YouTube channel, Summerland Academy, and all this stuff is to get you out of that hell of the mind, back home to the body, so you can see what's really going on and know the difference between what's really going on and what's going on inside the imagination. And then finally, as a result of all this, you can finally embrace, okay, not just accept, but embrace life as this intense, never-ending adventure. That's what it's all about. And Sean asks, was my first session with Dr. Hyatt? No, I was doing it on my own, out of a book, actually. But I was in contact with Dr. Hyatt then. And then later I went on to meet him and work with him and be in the DVDs and all that. May God rest his soul with the saints. I learned a lot from Dr. Hyatt. I have infinite love for that man as my teacher. I disagree now with some of his opinions and assertions, but who gives a shit? And Sean mentioned all the seeking is in the snow globe. Yes, it's all inside the snow globe. I gotta make like a t-shirt or something about this snow globe thing. So yeah, so anybody else watching, please check in the chat. This should be interactive. And actually, if anybody wants to jump on for the second part of the show, where I get into some details about how you can actually undo some of the chronic tension and how you can remember to relax. That's what the second part of the show today is going to be about, is remembering. Make a note so I don't forget. Remembering relaxation, and we will also do the face exercise, the shoulders. And then one more exercise. Well, you know what? I'll just do the face and shoulders, but I'm going to draw out the shoulders one and show you how to relax into intensity today. You know, in fact, maybe we'll even do the handstands. I'm going to show you guys a cool handstands. And remember, don't do it unless your doctor and the police and the government and your parents and any other relevant authorities have given you permission, because all risk is on you, and you could hurt yourself doing handstands. So only do it if you feel comfortable doing it. But we'll get there. So please put your questions in the chat. Let me know what's going on for you. Share your experiences. Is there anything I can help you with directly in relation to relaxation or the topic of today's show? Let me know in the chat. And let me know you guys can see and hear me well. Still working out all the tech stuff, but looks fine on my end. And anyone who wants to jump on, I'm going to share a link. Let's see, add guest. Let's see. Okay, let's turn off permanent link. Generate new link. Oh no, I don't want to do that. Cancel. Copy link. Okay. So I'm going to I'm gonna put an invite. You don't have to come on, but if you want to, if you have a camera and mic ready to go, I want to invite folks on for the. There it should be in the chat. You should see it. It's right here. There's the link. So anyone who wants to come on with me to do the exercises and to ask questions or to just be here with me for the second part of the show, it's just going to be another 10 minutes or so, the end of the show, where I give you exact tools that you can use to start relaxing into the intensity in your life. And these are tools you can use to relax into tasks you're doing. If you're a guitarist like I am, you can use it to relax while you're practicing something that's frustrating. You can use it for doing chores or things that you really don't like doing where you're facing a lot of resistance. So I'm going to show you how to relax into the intensity of things you already have to do and the everyday intensity of your life. So I'm guessing nobody's going to jump on the stream, but there's the link. So if you want to jump on, or if you disagree with me, you can jump on. We can talk about that too. So we'll wait just a couple more moments before we get to the second piece of the puzzle here, remembering relaxation, because this is something you need to do on a daily basis, multiple times a day. You need to remember to relax into the intensity of your experience. And I'm going to explain exactly what that means and give you a demonstration in your body that you'll be able to use every single day going forward. Should you have the wisdom to be. Oh, there he is. There we got Sean here. Let's bring him up. Sean, hey man.
There we got Sean.
Oh, there's a bit of an echo. Let me see. Maybe I can help it. Okay, we got echo. Let's see what we can do with. Let's fix this. Echo cancellation. Okay. Do you have headphones? Oh, we have infinite. I'm gonna grab my headphones. If you got some too, I'll be right back. Let me. We have infinite. I'm gonna grab my headphones. If you got some too, I'll be right back. Okay, here we go. It's fine, even if just one of us has them, but I need to remember for streams to put on headphones. Okay, here we go. Plug it in. Okay. We work things out here on the fly, so okay. External microphone, gaming headset. Okay, perfect. Sean, great to meet you, dude.
Great to meet you as well, right?
Ah, cool. Yeah. So, yeah, man. So you jumped on. Sweet. So, anything you wanted to share about the seeking, the stuff that I covered in the first half? You know, any of the anything you want to share at all about your experiences?
Are you still hearing this echo?
No, I'm not hearing the echo. If you click on the, there should be an audio button there, and then there's an echo cancellation button. Maybe that's. It's a little like arrow next to the mic icon.
Oh, okay.
Did that work? Sound better?
No.
Okay. This service, like I'm using Talk Studio, so still kind of new to me. But let's see. We can try and fix it here. My video is not there. Okay. And on the echo cancellation. If I turn it off, how does that sound? Still going? Echo. Is it still echoing?
It takes a few seconds.
Okay. So if you look, maybe there's some setting that is it better? Better, 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 better. Oh,
Well, um, I apologize for all the echo
we can't
stuff.
hear it on. Like, I don't think anyone else is hearing it on their end. I'm not hearing it in the monitor. Um, anyone else is hearing it on their end. I'm not hearing it in the monitor. Okay, now I hear it. When you take them off, then I hear it. Yeah, yeah. Then it does loop. Now it's looping. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Go figure.
Let's see what we can do to fix it. What is stereo audio? No, stereo audio test speaker. Oh no, that's tested the external speakers. Is my audio coming out of your headphones or is it coming through your computer?
It's coming through my headphones,
Okay.
but then
Strange. I don't know how it could be echoing. But maybe what I could do is if I ask a question, then I'll mute my mic and let's see if it lets you talk. So if you want, just if you wanted to share anything about the chronic seeking, I think a lot of people can relate to that. But let
yeah,
me mute my mic and see if that helps.
okay. Yeah, so the chronic seeking, that started, excuse me, when I was a teenager, and I did not grow up in a religious home, right? But I started uh, being like having to see, a psychologist when I was about 8, right? Because of some trauma and stuff that happened. But I think that's the only reason I mention that is I think that's what caused me when I was a teenager to go looking for something more, right? Kind of meaning, and I ended up in a Pentecostal church, and yeah, that lasted about a few months. Even at 14, I kind of thought this is a bunch of bullshit, man, that they want me to believe. But what that did was set off a desire to seek elsewhere, right? And so I'm in the bookstore and I go to their alternative section or whatever, and of course they have tons of books about Wicca, right? And so I explored neo paganism for a while. I can't believe in that either. Uh, so then I go to Eastern paths and systems, Taoism, Buddhism, even Hinduism. There's a Hindu temple in a city I used to live in that I attended for a while. And it's beautiful, but ultimately there's still a cultural kind of aspect to it that is difficult to overcome, especially Hinduism. But let's see. And all the while, still keep having all these depressive episodes. Been on Search Lane for many years. But what you're saying about the real nature of that, where it actually resides, where it exists, and where it can be solved, makes so much sense. Um, I spent 30 years pretty much doing what I told you, trying to this philosophy and that, system and whatever. And the occult. Oh yeah, I forgot about the occult. That I did that for a good 10 years. You know, ceremonial chaos. Uh, you name it, right? And that's how I came across Dr. Brooks, incidentally, which I also don't agree with a lot of his personal opinions, right? But you know, that is what it is. So anyway, yeah, I wanted to kill myself a couple months ago. Like it was really, really bad, and it turns out that it was a reaction to an SSRI that I had started taking that made me manic, and then it made me compulsive, and then it made me abjectly suicidal. And kind of crazy too, because I thought to myself, this is a great time to try to start believing in God again and going to church, right? Because when you're drowning, you throw out that lifeline and whatever works, right? Um, Once that medication wore off, though, so did my desire to die, and also my weird need to believe in God again. Right? Like, I still can't. Anyway, uh,
Thank you, dude, for sharing all that. I think that's really important. Um, it kind of gave me a trip down memory lane as far as the seeking stuff. What I will say, I think that there's a lot of broken worldviews in all of that stuff. I had looked at the Wicca. I had also looked at, I found Crowley and all his stuff. And I started trying to trace things back to a source, and that's how I ended up in Freemasons, because I could trace things back to Crowley and back to Freemasons. Like most of the modern occult stuff could go back to Crowley. I also got into the chaos stuff too. Now I will say I was naive enough to keep myself out of trouble with that. So I actually had a lot of fun with the chaos magic, and I really applied myself in it, and also joined the OTO. And so, I mean, there were great barbecues, really fascinating, weird people. So I can't, it's a strange thing. I can't say I regret the seeking, but I can say it didn't bring me what I was looking for at the same time. So, and I had visited like Krishna temples, mainly when I was hitchhiking and didn't have money for food. I would go to the Krishna temples because they would serve you food if you stayed around for the chanting and all this. And all kinds of different situations. But each of those people, they were somewhat sweet and special. So I can't speak against any person, but I can say where the worldviews are broken and where they've gone wrong. One thing that you mentioned about seeking God in relation to your experience of the Pentecostal church. I belong to Orthodox church now. This was after many, many, many years, but Eastern Orthodox. I joined the Serbian church. But if you go in and attend a divine liturgy, it's so far removed from what's going on in the Pentecostal church, and all you'd have to ask yourself is, if you go back to the year 200 or 100, even before the New Testament was canonized, how would it look if you were doing the practices in the church that's going on now? And if we move the Pentecostal church back then, people would be like, oh man, what the hell's going on here? Like, this is crazy, And, but if you move the Orthodox liturgy back to that time, it's pretty much the same thing that was being practiced in the beginning, So that's what's kind of fascinating about it.
I suspected orthodoxy was something I saw in your background recently. I think your last episode. I attended an Orthodox church here in town. There's two of them for a few weeks, and you're right. That's amazing. I thought I'd really get into it because of the sacramental nature of it, right? And that's how they worshiped, and it's how they used to back in the early church. But what I found, Garrett, again, was that if I'm listening to the liturgy, I thought it'd be cool, because they're mystical bent, right? And experiences rather than dogma. But even in the liturgy, it's and the reciting of the Nicene Creed, I don't believe that, And so I thought, I feel like kind of a fraud here, and I ultimately didn't make it.
Yeah, I can understand that. At least you're being honest about it. And for me, what led me there was not and we won't get too much deep into this for today, but I incidentally, on my other Garrett Dawn channel, then I've changed that over to like spiritual talks, so-called spiritual talks. So I bring people on, or we attack different worldviews and different stuff like that. But it relates to the undoing in that I found my way to Orthodoxy through a whole bunch of former clients, like 7 different ones in different walks of life, different ages, different places in the world, had joined Orthodox Church after working with me for many years. And I had no idea, I knew what it was intellectually, but I didn't know what it was in practice. And as a result of that, and then some experiences I had along the way that bizarrely dovetailed together with that, I decided to go. And I had a ex-girlfriend, God bless her, who was half Serbian, half Croat. So she grew up in the Orthodox Church out here. And through conversations with her, I started to check out the church in town. And that's how I ended up there. And then also the logical equation of like the transcendental arguments for God that like Jay Dyer talks about, and some people talk about online, where to me, the existence of a creator was I can't argue against it. But this took like 2 years of being bombarded with this logic, the logic of it. So that's a whole nother topic about worldviews and different stuff. And there's some previous streams I have with Posh where we talk about worldviews and that kind of thing with Sava. Amazing guy. But yeah, for as far as I'm concerned, it's interesting. Also, Orthodoxy, they don't proselytize. I mean, some people kind of do, but it's the idea is that people will get the benefit if you're just doing the practice, and that more people will end up finding the truth through someone doing the practice more than just talking about it all the time.
Just like radical undoing.
Yeah, basically. So while this isn't about orthodoxy, if someone ends up in a position where they're asking me, then I'll say. But otherwise, I leave it running in the background. So in terms of the seeking, though, yeah, like I said, I had a great time, but I always hit an end point where I was like, sometimes I was like, what am I actually doing here? What is this about? We're doing some ritual for something, and then I start to think like, what are we actually doing? And the deeper question that I was asking was later that I would ask is, if I'm asking for something or I'm doing some ritual to get power from somewhere to accomplish an end, what do I owe for that? Do I, you know what I mean? Like who am I asking? Who's providing that power? And what is the trade that I'm potentially making through doing that? And now looking back, it's not a trade I'd be willing to make. But at the time, I hadn't worked out what it was all about, So in the manifestation, the chant, and all this kind of stuff, like, well, and they say, well, the universe. Well, that's not an answer. The universe isn't a thing you can point at. It's an idea. It's just a concept.
Agreed.
So anyway, all the endless seeking. We'll get into this on the Summerland Challenge stuff. We have a day about the seeking thing. That's pretty fun. But what I want to get to now is just the exercises and then this concept of remembering relaxation. So I'll say first that the key, it's so simple, is that when you're doing a task, let's say you're doing your taxes or something like this, and it's unpleasant. But what most people are doing is they're resisting the task inside their mind. They're working against themselves in their mind while they're doing the thing. Or like if you have to vacuum the house and you don't like doing it, then before you do it, you're thinking about doing it and you're resisting, you're creating tension, you're getting upset. Oh, I don't want to do it. And then while you're doing it, you're resisting inside your mind. So the key is to recognize all this extra effort that's being made to resist what you're doing, and then to just stop that, to stop identifying with the thoughts, and then just get involved in the task itself. To actually just be doing the vacuuming and really observing it, looking at the way the light is hitting the carpet, notice having some gratitude for that you have a house to vacuum. And you know what I mean? Like so many other layers you could be observing instead of this, oh, I don't want to do this. It's like, I get to do this. And that actually I have cats, so I have to clean up after them. And I remember I was resisting it every time, and I would skip a day because it was, I didn't want to do it. And the next day it'd be worse to clean up after them. And after a while, I realized, like, no, I don't have to resist this at all. It's like the body movement it takes to clean up after the cats is so minimal, and you deal with some scent. Okay, oh, it's a bad scent. What? Like, but it's really no big deal. It takes like 1 minute or 2 minutes, let's say, to do it. And it was like I was spending more time and effort resisting cleaning up after the cats than it was taking me to actually do it. So it wasn't the task itself that was that unpleasant. It was the condition inside my mind,
Yes, exactly. It seems that it's harder to overcome your own internal resistance than it is to just move your body and do the task.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. And I don't blame anyone, because we're mimicking this, how we learned how to be from watching other people. But basically, it is possible to go through life without resisting what's going on. You can totally not like it. That's fine. That's just a preference. It doesn't matter. There's a quote I always return to from Patrick Jane in the show The Mentalist, which is excellent for changing your mindset. Such a good show.
Love that show.
And around here, we use shows for training,
Okay.
Indiana Jones, Mentalist, Prison Break, Burn Notice, so many good shows. And in The Mentalist, he said it was an episode where he's in jail, actually. It was season I think this is in the challenge to watch. I think it's season 2, episode 6, called Black Gold, Red Blood. And it's he goes to jail. As he's going to jail, he has a choice between quitting work for the CBI or going to jail. And he said, "Oh, I'll choose jail. It's a new experience. I welcome it." And he goes to jail, and then he's helping a guy. He goes straight for the guy who's like the toughest one in there and starts working with him. And at one point, he says, the guy says, "Well, I don't like that." He said, "If you could stop seeing the world, if you could stop seeing the world through your likes, in terms of your likes and dislikes, and start seeing things are," let me say this all again. If you could stop seeing the world in terms of your likes and dislikes and start seeing things as they are in themselves, you'd have a great deal more peace in your life. And I can help you with that. And then the guy relaxes into it, you know.
Yeah, nice.
So when you can, and that's when the real beauty and in the so-called mundane starts to actually emerge, is when we can accept things as they are. And even in an existential pain condition, physical pain condition, if you can sort of yield to it, it becomes less painful. Or as what's his name on I forget his name on the show, but Patrick Swayze on the movie Roadhouse, the original Roadhouse, is he's getting stitched up without anesthetic. He says, "Pain don't hurt." It's a great quote to remember. You're feeling pain, just pain don't hurt. So so what we're going to do, we'll do the face stretches now just as a warm-up, and then we'll do the shoulders, and then maybe we'll do the handstands. It's a little harder with the headphones and stuff, but we'll do the handstands.
I think I can remove it now. I found out what was going on. This is really dumb, and I'm sorry.
It's not dumb. Don't worry.
Well, we have the stream here, but I also had the YouTube video going, and so that was
so it was the monitor. Okay.
Yeah.
No worries, man. That happens. It's okay. If you watch like Jay Dyer or a lot of call-in shows, live streams, they almost always have to say like unmute your mic, dude, or like turn off the stream in the background, dude. You know, like it's common. It's common.
Go figure.
So no worries. So we'll do the face stretches for 3 or 4 minutes, and then we'll do the shoulders. But this time specifically, while we're doing the shoulders, we're going to do is relax into the intensity of the shoulders. And so this is a way to practice relaxing into intensity. And you can do it multiple times a day because it only takes 60 to 90 seconds. And with that repeated practice, so there's the external practice, which is the physicality, like just doing the shoulders up. But there's the internal practice of, number one, trying to stay aware of what you're doing. So not thinking about other stuff, you know, people not putting on music and all this, but actually focusing on what's going on, amplifying the tension. And then on the inside of the mind, just being chill about it. And so noticing like, wow, this is really intense, but like not reacting to it at all and just keeping a steady flow of breathing. So if you do that, if you repeat that every day, this just with one exercise with the shoulders to ears, then it's going to play out in all these other areas of your life over time. That's what I mean by the results are cumulative, is that then the next time you're getting upset with the wife or the kids or some situation that you have to handle, you will likely snap into that awareness of like, oh yeah, I'm creating all kinds of extra stuff in this situation, when all they need from you is to just like lead them into something better. Or like if they're messing up or running into the street, you just pull them out of the street, but it doesn't need to be a big deal for you inside your mind. You know what I mean?
I do.
So all of this is to say, a lot of people are making massive efforts to stay tense and massive efforts to stay upset to some degree inside their mind. So what we're doing with this work is first attacking the chronic tension in the body so we get some breathing room, and then reducing that resistance in the mind to whatever's going on. And again, it doesn't mean you're saying you like it or that you're happy with certain situations. No, it just means you're not creating extra resistance when you have to handle something, you know. Hopefully that makes sense. So for the last bit of the show, then we will do the face stretches. Let me set a timer here, make it easy. Timer, we'll do 4 minutes for this. So I'll repeat the instructions for anyone that's seeing this for the first time. We're just going to stretch and move all the parts of the face, the forehead, eyebrows, eyes, different directions, eyelids open, closed, cheeks, nostrils, lips, tongue, and jaw. And we're just going to twist and move. And it will feel funny. I've been doing it for 20 years. Still feels funny. Looks funny. And you want to do that with a lot of intensity. So add contraction and intensity in all the face muscles and then move through the contractions. And then the second key is you keep on breathing in the belly and in the chest. And those of you watching, do it along with us. Do it along with us. And it can be fun to watch on the monitor or in the mirror too. You know, it's like you try to weird yourself out. Like make strange combinations and then keep on breathing at the same time. A little side note here, this exercise at first might make you feel more tense or think that you're feeling more tense and that there's more shit going on in your mind. It's not the case. What's happening is this is making you aware of the tension that's already there, and it's making you aware of the shitstorm inside your mind. But if you persist, it will decrease. It will diminish. And belches, farts, and yawns always take precedence. It's good. You try to stretch all these different nerve networks and above the lips and different things. For 2 more minutes. Remember to breathe, and then you want to just check in with the body from time to time and see is the body relaxed or not. And you don't have to relax it. Just by noticing it will just relax on its own. That's another cool thing. I'm going to put my feet on the floor here. And these can be fun. You know, it depends how receptive like wife and kids and stuff are, but it can be fun to do these together with the kids and with the family. And it's really takes the edge off.
It does amuse my infant.
Yeah, of course. The kid's like, finally, you're relaxing like me.
That's the truth.
You can also, you know, since you have an infant around, this a beautiful thing. You can just observe their breathing. Is it him or her?
Him.
Yeah, just observe his breathing. Just watch it sometimes. You know, whenever you get a chance, just watch the breathing. It's remarkable, and yeah, it's a beautiful thing. Okay, so 30 more seconds. I try and really want to just break apart all the different parts of the face. Nice one, dude. I love it. Okay, perfect. So hold one of those faces really tight. So let's just try and tense up all the face and then take a full inhalation, and then hold the breath, hold the face, and then I'll count down and we let it go and say ah. So hold, like those Tibetan Buddhist paintings where it looks like he swallowed the world. So hold, and then 3, 2, 1, and let go, and just let the face relax. Close your eyes, just relax. Take a few breaths. Again, if you have to yawn anytime through the day, when you make those loud sounds, let the jaw be really open. You'll get huge relief from it. huge release from it. I just want to encourage you, if even if the darkness or whatever revisits you again, which it likes to do, just keep doing these exercises in the midst of it. If you have a dark day or a moment or thoughts or whatever, if you just keep doing these exercises in the midst of that, it will change over time. And eventually you'll be able to, the darkness and this shit could be there, but your identity won't be wrapped up in it. So it won't have control. You know what I mean? I've even had thoughts where I'm like, not quite to the suicidal. I've gotten close to that, never where it was like functional. You know what I mean? It was more of a wish, but thoughts where I was like, oh, could I just die and get it over with? Like this kind of thing. Like, oh man. But even if those thoughts were to come, my identity's not there. My identity's observing what's going on here and in here and in the thoughts. So my identity's the observer of all of those factors at the same time. And then it can evaluate, where's that coming from? Because I'm not inventing those thoughts. I would never invent the thought, hey, I'm done with this. You know what I mean? If I was in control of my thoughts, I would invent thoughts like, I'm so excited about life. And I'm so grateful for all the crazy adventures I've had. You know what I mean? If I was inventing my own thoughts, that was what would be running in there. So we have to ask ourselves, if you were in control of your thoughts, would you really be inventing suicidal ones? It doesn't make any sense.
No, not
right?
at all.
So then we can safely say that they're not coming from us,
Yeah, absolutely. And one reason that what you're saying and teaching in these Summerland streams makes so much sense to me. I started to notice in the last few years when anxiety gets pretty strong,
Mm-hmm.
I always notice it first in my body.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to think that I had anxious thoughts that was causing that, but it turns out it was the other way around. If you really pay attention, I discovered that no, it was the bodily sensations generating the thoughts that I would then identify with, and I had the cause and effect wrong.
Very interesting, dude. Yeah, very good point. Oh, it's amazing. Yeah, it's crazy to think back, like I said, before I had the body, but when I had the idea of the body, everything's flipped on its head. Everything's inverted, and there's no way to handle it. Yeah, it's crazy. Totally crazy. Okay, so what we'll do now is the shoulders. And then this time, while we're doing it, everybody following along, and you, Sean, just focus on, be aware of what you're doing with the mind and try and relax into the shoulder exercise. So we'll do it for at least 90 seconds. Let me set another timer here. Okay. And so we'll, and just a side note with the shoulder, let me pause the timer. Side note with the shoulders that can be really interesting is we won't do it now for the sake of the stream, but if you stand up doing it, you put a bend in the knees, and then when you thrust the shoulders down, you'll feel the shock. You can even see it on my screen when I go like that, how I kind of bounce. When the knees are bent, the energy from thrusting them down will ground out through the feet. And then if you try it with the knees locked, you'll notice that the force stops in the lower back. And so if the knees are locked all the time during the day, and when people are walking around and standing still and all this, then all the energy that would normally be grounded out through the feet gets locked up in the lower back. And so that's why people have lower back troubles and pain and all this stuff in the hips.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I used to give that as a demo to all my clients when I was doing it only in person, was to have them do it with the knees locked and then with the knees bent so they would remember. But that's just a side note. So we'll go ahead and pull the shoulders up toward the ears. There's variations. We'll do other exercises on future streams, and I'll invite you on future streams too, Sean. It's a pleasure and an honor to have you on here.
Oh, thank you.
So we'll pull the shoulders up nice and tight. And then one issue people usually do is like they go like this. We don't need to do that. And then you make sure the hands and arms are relaxed and the rest of the body's relaxed. And then just keep on breathing in the belly and the chest the best you can. And then notice what's going on in the shoulders. And then in the mind, a lot of people will. We used to work up on when I did daily training with a group of guys online with the undoing. We would do this for 10 minutes at a time, the shoulders.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we built up to that. So just notice the warmth, the heat, the intensity. And now you've been doing it for a few days, so it's inevitably easier than the first time, but you want to keep pushing up. And for those watching too, continue pulling up the shoulders nice and tight. And keep on breathing. So another 30 seconds or so. And just don't make a big deal of it inside your mind. That's the key. Just feel all the intensity, but there's really nothing going on. So for me, it's warm, it's intense, it's kind of uncomfortable, but it's no big deal. But if you're like, you see, like, like when people think they're getting old. Yeah, when people think they're getting old and they get out of a chair, they're perfectly fine, but they're like, don't do that. Don't do that. Okay, so the timer's almost out. Take a full inhalation, pull the shoulders up real tight, hold the breath for a moment, and then I'll count down. 3, 2, 1, and and then shake them out if you want a little bit, roll them, whatever. Close the eyes, take a couple breaths, and just feel the effects. Yeah, it's such a pleasure to do these exercises, man. 20 years in, and it's still every time is brand new. So good.
Wow. Yeah, and they're a lot more interesting and effective than, for me anyway, the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram.
Yeah. I used to do that one. I got deep with it. I was studying that. What's his name? It was on Falcon Publishing. It was the. I think he was a genuine guy, Joseph Leshevsky.
Oh, yeah.
He wrote something like Kabbalistic Handbook for the Practicing Magician or something like this. And it was about how to actually build in, I don't know I forget the name he called it. It was something like the subconscious structure so that the ritual could actually work. And he gives a list of books that you need to understand just for that one ritual. And it was like 10 books, some of which I spent like $300 or $400 on ordering. There's one that I had that was only 100 copies of in existence or something. And I sold all these eventually. But I started working through those and doing the practice and stuff. And he also talked about what can happen in your life if you're not doing it properly, like what you're inviting into your life. And I noticed those patterns were playing out as well. And so, yeah, if someone was insisting on doing that kind of stuff, which I would advise against completely now, I would still say to go via his route, like go trace it back to the origins of what it is you're doing and then research every last piece of it so that there's no question about every single gesture, every single symbol, every single movement,
Right. Yeah, he goes deep. It was his writing that he's the one that said, to really get into this stuff and to have it like go to the religion of your birth, right? If you've gotten away from it, get back involved in it.
Yeah.
And I politely declined, but again, that's not anyway.
No, it's a fair point, and I think he did a service of turning a lot of people away from those occult practices when they saw it. Because, for example, if you're supposed to have a dagger, for example, for some ritual, and the ritual is supposed to be done when all the planets and the moon and everything are in very specific places, and you're supposed to have done extreme fasting for 9 days or however long before it, and you're supposed to have made your own forge to produce your own metal to make that dagger. You know what I mean? And you're supposed to have a checkered tile floor that you built in a building that you constructed. You know what I mean? That's where that comes from. It's not like you buy your dagger at Hot Topic at the mall and then come home and play around and think that you are, commanding the demons like Solomon did. Right. I don't think so, man.
Probably looks cool to your friends, though.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I had a lot of street cred from being in the OTO, you know, at that time, but
Yeah.
now it's like a scar from a past life. But still friends with some of those folks who have also fallen away from it. Uh, some of the true believers don't like me, I think, but anyway, another conversation for another day. We could sometime, Sean, I might message you, I'll invite you onto the other channel. We can like go deep about some of that stuff. It would be fun.
That'd be great. Yeah.
Or we could meet, we could have a stream with Posh too sometime. It would also be interesting.
I would love that.
Yeah, you can hear his voice in person.
Yeah.
I'm gonna skip the handstands for today. I'm gonna leave them for another time because I want to set up to show how to do those. But I'll tell you what they are. Is you do handstands against the wall, but I like to do with my chest against the wall instead of the flipping up. I find it easier to get down. But you just walk your feet up the wall, you know, like head down, and then put the feet up the wall, and then while you're in the handstand, try to straighten the back and tighten the core and all that. Little bend in the elbows, but you just sit there and do the same thing. You try to stay for 30 seconds, build up to a minute, eventually building up to 3 minutes. And you do the same thing I mentioned with the shoulders. You just relax into the handstand, you know, and breathe as slowly as possible. Same goes for the wrestler's bridge, with your face on the mattress, like Matt Fury teaches, or the gymnast bridge where you're on, you know, on your back and pushed up and the hips are in the air. Those are super intense to do, but you just hold it and try to relax into it and breathe really slowly. Same with the plank exercise too. So all of those are exercises you can do that will help you remember to relax in all kinds of other different situations.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, man. So anytime you're doing a workout, that's another time to practice the relaxing into the workout. And you'll find you're end up capable of way more effort in the workout too. It's crazy.
Wow.
One of my best martial arts classes ever. I was getting private lessons from this really brutal dude in town here. And I forgot one night that I had scheduled a private lesson at 7 the next morning. And I remembered when I was out drinking at like 3 in the morning, and I was like, oh, dude, I can't cancel on this guy. Like, I need to go to this lesson. So I went, and I was just like so hungover and messed up and tired. And I thought the class was over after 15 minutes. So I had gone to the shower and started changing, and he was like, what the hell are you doing, dude? Like, he thought I was going to the bathroom. He's like, what the hell are you doing? Get back out here. And I'm like, okay. I thought it was over, and I was like so embarrassed. And then I could barely throw the punches. It's like mixed martial arts, so I could barely do anything. And suddenly my body just kicked into the body mechanics of it. So instead of using the, you know, effort to throw the punches and effort to throw the kicks, my body mechanics were just perfect because it was the least amount of effort to get the most amount of force so I could finish this damn lesson. And I saw the look on the guy's face. I threw these punches into the mitts, the focus mitts, and throwing these kicks, and he was just like, whoa, dude, like my body just snapped into this. And so that was the best training session I ever had. Not suggesting that everybody go get wasted and then go to train the next day, but I'm saying I was forced to relax into it because I had no more energy. And then suddenly the body mechanics were extremely powerful. So that's the same thing, you know. It works for dancing. It works for any other kind of practice. For drawing, for writing songs, you know, if you can just sit there and be a fool with the guitar, something nice is going to come out eventually. So it translates to every other area of life. It's just fascinating. So that's what I have for today, is just try to remember to relax and take moments throughout the day to relax into what you're already doing. It doesn't take any extra time. It's just a little reminder, like just, you can even set a reminder on the phone to ring every hour. Hey, are you know, relax into it, bro. You know what I mean? Just something like that.
Yeah. Someone like me probably requires that, you know, I got to set it up.
Well, it's not just you. You're just actually more honest than most folks, or you got, you know, broken down enough that you're that you're open about it now.
That's the truth.
But if you look around, dude, just like I said, watch your son's breathing, and then watch other people's breathing throughout the day. Watch how other people are breathing. You know, it'll be mind blowing to see. Yeah,
I'll do that.
Yeah, man. Well, thank you for coming on the stream, dude. It's really cool to meet you in this regard, and hopefully we meet in person someday. I forgot to ask where you are. I forget where you are in the world, if you want to share.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I'm in Wichita, Kansas.
Oh, you're in Wichita. There's I've been there, and I went there on a road trip. We went south from Minnesota. I'm from Minnesota.
Okay, yeah.
We went south through Wichita and then all the way to the panhandle of Texas and over. It was on the year that the Oklahoma City bombing thing happened.
Ooh, 95.
Because we got there to Oklahoma City and there was ruins all over. And this cop gave us each a chunk of the face of the building, which I don't have anymore from moving so much. It was such a weird, bizarre memento. But he was like, take this with you, son, and walked us through the ruins. And then we helped some people at the YMCA, which had also blown up, carry like furniture out and help them move stuff around. And as you see, I was young. I would have been, oh man, I was 16 at the time. And we were just like, this is crazy, you know. Probably I don't have any photos anymore. It's just like the transition from print to digital, you know. So a lot of that stuff is lost. But there was a song by a band called Soul Coughing, who's from New York City. And they were famous in Minneapolis because of this radio station. And they have a song called True Dreams of Wichita, which is a beautiful song. And on one line of the song, he says, and you can stand on the arms of the Williamsburg Bridge crying, hey, man, this is Babylon. And I thought, because the song's called True Dreams of Wichita, that the Williamsburg Bridge would be in Wichita. But it's actually in New York City. But he's just saying dreams of Wichita. So I didn't work it out. So we're in Wichita, like the Historical Society, asking about the Williamsburg Bridge because I wanted to be on there and then like shout that, you know, like in the song. But then we discovered there was no. So we just found a bridge in Wichita and shouted it anyway. Hey, man, this is Babylon. Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if that's one of those, you know, we wept when we remembered Zion kind of deal.
Yeah. I don't know, but it's a great band. Great song, True Dreams of Wichita. Yeah, really cool stuff.
That's cool.
All right, Sean. So I'll be doing another stream tomorrow. I still haven't nailed down a time yet because I have some other groups and things going on, but we'll do another stream tomorrow. You'll see it in the notifications. And for any of you guys watching, make sure you like and share with your friends and enemies and family, and subscribe and all the other stuff, notification, and check out the links below if you want to get in the Summerland challenge, the 12-day challenge starting on Monday, April 21st. That'll be in the Facebook group, but get on the email list. You'll get extra stuff. And then Sean, send me a message on Messenger later on, and I want to meet with you privately. I would just want to give you I'll give you the Radical Undoing session. You can experience it for yourself. So we'll maybe we'll set it up for after the challenge, so you get some more of the exercises in. But I just kind of want to honor your presence on the beginning of these streams and your openness to jump on and everything. So we'll get you set
thanks
up
a lot, Garrett.
with the
I look
session.
forward to it.
Awesome, dude. All right. So that's what I've got for you for today. There's no fancy outro music just yet, but soon there will be. So, you know, future episodes.
Nice.
All right, man. Much love, and take care of yourself, and remember to relax into things, and we'll talk to you again soon.
All right. God bless.
All right. God bless. Enjoy.